He's going to edit that HP out and put WizAnn on there.
Yeah, it's fine.
That needs to go over
you know,
towards
you will.
you. David, do your best to interrupt people. Yeah, try and listen to what they say. And then... All right, here we go. This is WizAnn podcast number 2, and we are with Liam Laws. Liam's been a cab driver for 6 years, and we've got Paul Byron, who owns HP Taxis and has a fleet of electric taxis, and David Frampton, who has been a cab driver for 2 years. And just for the full disclosure of what we kind of discuss here, which is basically whether you should rent or buy, I know that Liam is in favour of renting and has rented for quite a few years now, 4 years at least. Paul, you have a vested interest, but I do know that I've always spoke to you, and it is a very balanced argument you give. But people are going to argue, that your interest is going to be for renting, and I know that it's not entirely as easy as that. And Dave, you're fairly balanced as well. So we have two fairly balanced. And Liam, in actual fact, it's just me and you that are kind of polar opposites, because I'm in favour of buying pretty much kind of conclusively, but I can see the results of why certain people should rent, but I'm mostly in favour of buying.
Well, I think it depends on certain people's circumstances, doesn't it? I mean, it suits to rent for some people, doesn't it? Whether they... So about someone works for 3 months of the year. I know one guy who does. He lives in Thailand. And he works from September till the end of the year. It suits him then, obviously, to rent, doesn't it?
Of course.
Someone like me, it suits to buy because I had the money in the bank.
That guy that rents and does 3 months of the year, he's got to come back, and you can pick taxis up so easily for 3 months of the year at the moment.
It's changed massively, I think. Long gone are the days where there's cabs parked against the wall everywhere because they are so expensive now. We need some kind of commitment from renters. It's very difficult to get a part-time cab.
Yeah.
And the old diesel cabs are starting to dry up. The price of the cab's gone up. Even the diesel prices have gone up. I mean, I spoke to a guy today. I was in the back of a cab earlier, and he's paying £260 a week for a 16 plate. So that hasn't gone down. That's just stayed level or gone up a little bit,
So I'm rubbish with the number plates. So 16 plate is 2016.
Yeah.
So he's paying for a 2016 taxi.
Yeah, 260.
But yet, just on the HP basis of a 70, sorry, I don't know what the lowest price actually is for the TXEs now. But on what is the lowest payment you can get away with on a TXE on a brand new one?
Depending on whether you take ads or not. But the lowest contract we've got at the moment is $325 a week.
That's on a renting.
On a rental.
But if I went into there now at Brewery Road and tried to buy one, what are they going to charge me per week?
Depending on what you put down as a deposit. But I think if you don't put a deposit down and you do a straight HP deal, you're looking at about $1,200 to $1,250 per calendar month.
Okay.
But then you'll own it at the end. It will be completely owned after 5 years.
That's without a balloon payment at the end.
Correct. If you do balloon, then it will come down more depending on how much balloon you do, how much money you put in. There's lots of variables. I'm not a financial advisor.
No.
Got some figures here in
go
the
on.
latest.
Go on.
In the latest LTDA magazine, their LEVC's advert. If you put down £3,250 deposit, your weekly payments are £214.50p.
For over 5 years with no balloon payment?
With a balloon payment.
With a balloon payment.
What's the balloon at the end?
So the balloon at the end is about 20 grand, which works out £79 a week.
On top?
On top of that.
Yeah.
So this balloon payment, I think, if anybody knows better, then correct me, because my idea on the balloon payment is it's basically an interest-free loan. That if you take care of trying to pay it yourself by putting the money away each week, you've been given 20 grand that you could pay after 5 years that's accumulated no interest. So it's... If you can get the balloon payment, you should take that. But the problem is that people won't put the £79 a week away, and they'll end up with 20 grand debt. But
or you just hand it back, and start again. Because a lot of people want a new under their backside all the time. They don't want to keep going. They don't want to keep going and going with the old taxi. That's a different way of doing it nowadays.
And is 20 grand a lot of money for a 5-year-old cab? How much would a 5-year-old cab cost you now?
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's more than 20 grand.
Yeah, it's about 40, 42, 43.
Well, not
18, 19 plate if you went...
18, 19 plate, you were looking at... Yeah, but that's 4 years old.
4 years old.
So, you're looking at... They want 45 grand for some of them.
Yeah.
So
you're
for a 5-year-old taxi, we're looking
near
at 45
enough.
grand.
Yeah, because the price of taxis have gone back up again because we're busy, right?
So we're looking at very low depreciation then on these taxis.
Yeah.
So when people were complaining about the price of the new taxi, with that kind of low depreciation, that seems a bit...
Yeah.
Hold their money.
They hold their money. Yeah, they really do. So, you know, that's what you got to consider, what you do at the end, not just what you do at the beginning.
I think it's the interest rate that they got to look at.
On the deal that you take from, from the dealer?
It's like 7.3 or something like that. It's staggering. You can get 2.8 from the bank or free.
Okay, but the bank's you've got to get it under a business loan, or you can take it out as a private loan on the house. How does that work in terms of the accountant when you're giving your 30 grand extra that you've taken?
You're a
off
one-man band. It works, doesn't it? You're a one-man band.
You can't go to the bank and say, I'm buying a taxi. Technically, you can't say, I'm buying a taxi. They won't give it.
They want to give you a business loan.
2.8%. You would, it would have to be another reason as such.
But you could do it.
But people do it. I know people do
they
it.
do it over 2 loans. So some people I've heard do it with their missus and their name.
Yeah.
So
there's ways around it.
2.25.
There's always ways around money lending.
So this is financially beneficial, do you think? Just to get around the lending aspect of it, we're not doing it as a business loan, which would obviously be the official way of doing it. We're taking out a loan on a remortgage of part of our house to say we're going to paint and decorate the house. And then we use that to buy the cab. Yeah. And financially, we're going to get that back because we've paid £30,000 of our own money, so we don't be taxed on the $30,000 of our own money that we've paid out.
I think so. I mean, I think if you're buying a cab with a balloon payment, what you've got to understand is that at the end of that 5 years, you will make a profit if you sell it. 9 times out of 10, you will make a profit on that cab when you sell it. So you could put that money into your next deal. You can gain equity as you go along.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
You gain equity as you go along. That's the idea of owning, right? But that's in the lap of the gods. You don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. And that's why people don't want to commit themselves. There's lots of reasons why people don't want to commit, which I understand, you know.
Yes, but as we spoke with, when you rent, Liam, you have to work. A renter has to work when they're renting.
You've got to be full-time.
Yeah. There is no, like, Mickey Mouse. If you own your own cab, it can sit on the drive today and I don't need to do anything because it's there, even if you're paying it off. But you, so what is the psychology then behind yourself being so happy with your renting?
It's down to cost and responsibility, I suppose. I've got no responsibility on getting it MOT'd, replated. That's all taken care of. Tyres, that's all paid for under the rent. Insurance, obviously.
Yeah. So you rent for 12 months of the year, non-stop. You pay every single month.
Yeah, I get three or four payment breaks a year.
Right. If you wanted to go away for a holiday, you can put the cab back. That's interesting. Who do you rent from?
Port HP. So that's basically why I rent. It's because you haven't got that responsibility of looking after the cab, all the admin side of it.
So are you a bit of a musher? You really do work hard. You do the 5 days a week.
Yeah, 5 days, sort of 9-10 hours a day. Yeah,
keep it as a routine.
Yeah.
And so if you are renting, and then that has to be done. I do see that. My idea would be that I'd buy always, and that after 5 years it's clear. But you're knowing the value of a 5-year-old cab now, that you could, if you could sell it or put it back, how much are they going to give you off another new cab if you put it back?
Well, that's the thing. So it depends on cab values at the time. But right now, cab values I've never seen it like this. Like during COVID, they were on the floor, and now they're in the sky. Like I'm looking at cab values right now, and it's like $4,000 a plate. Like I've seen 2-year-old cabs for sale for 7-8 grand.
Yeah, but you're only going to get 2 years out of it.
Yeah, but then you times that by 10.
It used to be 2 a plate,
12.
Didn't it?
It used to be about 2 a plate. You're creeping up to between $3,500 and $4,000 a plate at the moment, and it's like, wow, you know. So that reflects on the TXE as well.
Yeah,
and holding the value, because what they're doing is they're reselling the cabs with another 4-year warranty. So that's where they're bumping the price up, because there's a lot of things to go wrong on this cab.
Yeah, and
you don't want a lot of expensive parts.
No one knows what's coming, do they? Yeah.
No, not really. There's a lot of expensive parts like the ERAD. Do you know what an ERAD is, Dean?
It's going to be something that cools down the battery, I imagine.
No. You know what it is, don't you, Liam?
I know what it is. I've had one go.
Yeah, of course. We've all had one go. Everyone who's got a TXE knows what an ERAD is.
Yeah, go on.
I've never had one go.
You will. It will come. What year is your cab?
21.
Yeah, that will be next year.
Thanks.
It's electronic rear axle drive, so that drives the rear wheels.
Electronic rear
and
axle
what happens?
drive.
So the cab has high torque. So if you use that torque, which most renters do, they boot them. So Liam's obviously booted his.
I don't.
But they boot them and they use all the torque, and the wheels turn too fast, they slip, and it goes bang. It happens more in the we've noticed a pattern that in the winter they go more cabs go, so they slip and they bust and they leak oil and they screech and they make all kinds of funny noises.
Is an aspect of the way that people drive is causing it, or it's?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, someone might be watching this and go, "No, that's not true," but I believe that's what it is. From experience, from having a lot of these vehicles, I feel like that is the reason. It's not because the drivers are driving them badly; it's because of the design, and the way that electric vehicles totally different to
it's like a button,
ICE
isn't
vehicles.
it? You can really quickly put away and stuff like that. So you're using that torque
There's
without knowing
there's
it.
no transmission, so you're straight into torque mode.
Yeah,
like an ICE vehicle.
It's got nothing to do with the regeneration of it.
No. But again, someone technical might put me right here. But this is what I've learned. You know, I believe that the wheels. They're saying they're bringing up updates, software updates to slow the system down a little bit so that it doesn't happen as often. And they're going through some rebuilding processes where they don't think that.
So it could be a specific software issue, because you want it to act more like a clutch, don't you? You want it to act like the power is being drawn in by you controlling something, because where the power
it needs
is
more
instant,
control. It definitely needs more control somewhere. I don't know about clutch, but it definitely.
No,
needs
I don't
more
mean. I
control.
mean, in the same way as a car, if you whip the clutch up and put the pedal down, that's hitting it very quickly. And I think with the electric, that's what's happening. You're just putting your foot down.
Yeah.
There's no way of just slowly doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I looked at the sister vehicle, the XC90, and I read some forums and stuff, and they've had problems with that as well. And it's the same running gear drivetrain as that. So they've used that on that, and obviously we're doing millions more miles than a Volvo driver.
Yeah.
That's pooling around.
So what is the cost of a new E-Rad?
You're looking at about $7,000. So the warranty's got to be comprehensive, you know, and that's got you can't really have these vehicles out of warranty. If you have the vehicle out of warranty, you're taking a massive gamble.
Yeah.
And is there going to be an extended warranty on the 5 years?
There is an extended warranty just been produced. Yeah.
What's the cost? You know,
$1,900
for
3 years.
So 600 and so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds worth it.
Because then you've got
It's
access
like
to
a £10 or £12 a week, isn't it?
You've got access
Bit
to
of
really good
insurance, isn't it?
dealerships. You know,
Yeah, it's a
I
bit
say
of-
really good dealerships. We use E1 taxis. We think they're fantastic, and they really look after us, and they provide us loan cabs.
Yeah.
You know, so
And when's a good time to take out that extended warranty?
you have to do it before your warranty ends.
Oh, that's right.
So if your warranty
like
ends-
someone like me, my cab's only a year old.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you've
so
got plenty of time.
I've got plenty of time. I don't need to
Plenty
pay
of time.
£1,900 yet then.
No, you've got some time left, and that's if you want to keep it. Because, like you say, we've got variables, haven't we?
Might change it in before 5
You
years.
might change it in
yeah, and
before 5
then
years.
it's up to them to put their own warranty on it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you start with a new manufacturer's
that's
warranty.
right.
The manufacturer's warranty is more comprehensive than the next warranty. It covers more.
Am I right in saying the next warranty only covers each part once? So if you have an E-Rad go, they'll only change it once.
Good question. I don't know. And I will be asking that.
Okay, that's what.
Cheers
I
for that, Liam.
Where's your notepad?
No, I don't need a notepad. This is the notepad.
Anything that costs money.
That
it's
is a
gonna
good.
be-
That is a really good question, because at the end of the day, it's an insurance product, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know what
yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Of course it is.
It's, it's not the manufacturer's warranty
And
anymore.
they know when
Yeah.
they're the insurers, and they know
Yeah.
what's going to go and not going to go.
It's all on risk.
This is why they can now give you the extended £1,900
Yeah.
because they know that's pretty much going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
they're going to
do.
get their money. But for you to ask that question, then did you get that from some other experience on other things that would work like that on warranty?
No, that's a friend of mine who owns a TXE. He's looked into it.
Oh, he's
Okay,
been told
so-
that,
And
has he, Liam?
that's what he's been told. But obviously find out yourself.
Yeah.
That's what he's been told.
Yeah, because honestly, you've got to go through the small print of these things.
So you're saying that they say they change a particular part, and then it goes again. They're not going to cover it.
No, you pay
Well,
for that.
the next part that they put on should be under some sort of warranty anyway, shouldn't it?
yeah, but they ain't. This is the thing. So I've got a vehicle. Funny enough, the vehicle that I came in tonight, that's had 2 E-Rads in its lifetime of 4 years.
Yes, well, 18 plate.
That's an 18 plate. Yeah. That's had two. That's had one new one and one rebuilt one. So I don't know how they're rebuilding them, but they're starting to rebuild them now.
And what happens? You know what happens? Have you had one go when you've been driving?
Yeah.
You know what happens then? What's the indication?
Variation of things, but you hear a loud bang, and then you hear a screeching, like the old milk floats used to sort of you hear that really loud, or you don't hear anything, or you hear a knocking, and then you'll see a load of oil at the back out of the cone.
Yeah, when mine went, it sounded like someone was hitting 2 spanners together in the back.
It probably was.
And it just happened to have, I had a job from the Palladium Theatre to Chafford 100, and it happened going down the A13, and I think she thought the back of the cab was going to fall off. But,
Did you get her there?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Otherwise, I'd have paid for that. I'd have paid for that. Otherwise, I'd have picked that one up.
I pushed her.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of gone off on a nice tangent, really.
Yeah.
This is now a subject that's really interesting as well. It's not quite about the renting and buying subject, but it's actually just
It's all
as
involved
interesting.
because if you're renting, you
Well, you need to consider these things. Yes, you're right.
And
you
that
don't
is-
have to worry about it as much.
That is why I rent, because when I got my badge 6 years ago, but I didn't go full time till 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so then I sort of sat there and thought, right, do I buy a TX4 second hand diesel cab? Do I buy a TXC or do I rent? And I just sat down, done all my figures, and I thought for the amount of money I would save buying, which was probably, I was working out at the time, it was about £20-30 a week I'd save if I bought one.
Sounds about right.
I thought for all the aggro of the ownership and not knowing what's going to happen with diesel vehicles being allowed on the streets and with the TXC, if anything went wrong with that, that's why I thought renting is the way forward for me.
Yeah, and
If I'd had a big pot of money to put down as a deposit, so I didn't have to get as much finance, it would have been different. But I didn't.
so your opinion would change if you could.
That's it.
not
And it
go so
is.
much on a finance.
I think everyone has to do their own figures.
Yeah.
Has to sit down because everyone's different.
If you'd have bought 4 years ago, you'd have 1 year's left of payments to make.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be? Does that upset you at all now that you think maybe I'd have been paid off by now?
No.
Instead of paying my mortgage.
Yeah, and your holidays, yeah. But no, I think probably now I'd be worried about what to do. Do I keep hold of it? Do I get that extended warranty? Do I hand it back, start again? I'd have a dilemma now, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd know what to do. I wouldn't know what would be for the best.
So the extended warranty that you could then take would be £1,900 per year.
1,900 for the free, 600 quid a year.
Is it?
Yeah.
£900 would be 3 years for the warranty.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got that wrong.
Yeah,
There.
1,900 for
okay.
3 years. So it's roughly 600.
But I'm not going to commit myself to that. I don't know
I
that
think
for
you're
sure.
right. I think you're right what you're saying.
I'm not
That's
100%
what I'd
sure.
heard before, roughly.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get that afterwards, I can just pop it up on the thing and say, this is what we found out for the warranty.
Yeah.
I
But
think you're right.
I mean,
Because it's a must, obviously. It seems with the technology changing, it's a must, the warranty.
but these conversations go round and round in your head when you're making this decision. But a renter doesn't have to worry about any of that. They just pay their 3.5 on a Monday or a Wednesday. Sometimes they can get that in one shift or 1.5 shifts. Yeah. I'm not going to say any more than that, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week, as long as you're working, you get your money. You know, you don't have to worry about, like Liam said, you don't have to worry about remembering to do stuff because that is someone else. You're paying someone else to do that. You've got a fleet manager that runs the whole situation. So she's got in a portfolio, she knows when everyone's NSL's due, when everyone's MOT's due, and meter changes, all these things that a taxi driver has to do. She's running that for them so that they don't have to worry about it and they just get a call and they have to go there. You know, that makes it easier for the renter. Yeah. You know, but if you're buying a cab, and I see where you're coming from.
No, I don't think it's that much. You know,
it's not.
You know,
it's not that much. You know, it's doable.
What's not that much? You're talking about the equity.
Yeah, just to arrange for like a dealer to take it in, your 6-month MOT, and then your yearly, and it's not that much really.
You don't realise until your cab goes wrong what a good rental garage does for you. I.e., because we buy in bulk, we get more access to spare cabs. So if you was to go in to one of the dealerships, you might not necessarily get access to a spare cab. And if, therefore, they haven't got any, I would have a spare one to back you up so your wheels are still turning. Them hours spent at Brewery Road or Ascot's or E1 sitting there waiting for your cab, that's hourly rate that you're losing, you know. So that's quite important as well. People forget that.
It is quite important. Some people like me is quite happy to take a day off.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm in a different position again.
And this is what I want to hear. Yeah. This is what I
I'm
want to
all right.
hear.
You know, if they said to me, I'm going to keep it for a few days, that's fine.
Yeah, Paul, what you
But
just
if you
said,
was renting, you wouldn't be saying that to me. You'd be going,
No, but I
I
want
need
you-
my cab, I need to work.
Well, if I never had a cab for a week, I wouldn't pay for that week. would I?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that wouldn't be any good to me. So I'd make sure I've got
that's
one
why,
there ready
that's
for
why
you.
you want them.
Yeah.
Wheels to turn.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. You know,
More
that
so
is-
than probably
that
the
is
guy
real.
who's quite happy to have a few days off. And
Yeah.
get a refund.
Get a refund.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we would give that option if there was no spare cabs about. I'd say to Liam, look, Liam, can you take a couple of days off? Because we're stuffed. We got no spare cabs. Brewery Road ain't got any. Ones ain't got any. You get that situation now and again. That happens. It's got a lot better over the last 12 months, I will say. But when we first got the cab, it was so hard to get a spare cab because they were all going wrong very quickly.
Yeah.
You know.
but what you've said there is that, like the old days when you had a TX,
Yeah.
and all the old garages you had to pull in.
Yeah.
Even if you're renting, you could lose a day's work because there's a ball joint's gone and you're in a queue of people waiting and your cab's waiting and the mechanics are working on stuff and you're standing there waiting around for hours and hours. And I remember doing it quite often, and it drove you insane.
Of course.
And you're renting, there would be no offer of like a rebate. You've basically lost the day waiting for the garage to fix your cab.
And I would not tolerate that. I don't want my drivers to tolerate
Well, it's
that.
different with the electrics, like you said. It's
Absolutely.
very, very different.
Yeah.
But in the old days, that was the norm.
Yeah.
You'd pull in the garage, you had
just
to wait
have to
for it
wait.
to fix.
And you're paying to wait.
Yeah.
And that's not right. You know?
So you have bought and you are renting. But you just said something that got me, David, which was you don't mind a day off.
No.
So it's kind of like, that's kind of one of the pros of buying. It's not so...
Yeah,
losing.
I'm not so sure the wife likes me having a day off as much as me, but I know I'm fine with it. But then again, that's what we said earlier on. It's each their own, and everyone's circumstances and everything, you know, and where you are and everything, you know. When I was a younger man with mortgages and all kinds of things, I mean, you wanted to be at work all the time.
Can I ask
Whatever
a
you
nutshell
do.
question?
And that is a thing. Age is very important in this debate.
Yes, true. And then how long you've had in the career too.
Yeah.
But the nutshell question for me would be, what do you think is financially going to earn you the most money? Is it buying? Is it renting?
For me, buying.
For me, buying.
Yeah, because you're going to get something back at the end of the day. Yeah, all right, there's aggro, but there's always aggro. If you buy a house, there's aggro. You've got to do work on that house. It's just the same thing. It is the same thing. But also, I would say I have rented from Paul, and I would again.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where I was in service. I could ring up and say, Paul, I'm going to trade to get rid of this. I'm going to rent for a while because I've got a few things going on in my life, and I'm going to buy again or something.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have a lot of fleets out there to offer good cabs and a good service because of that fallback. I.e., you know, sometimes you might want to change it up a little bit and cash out sometimes.
Yeah,
because you can cash out on that cab and go, right, it's 20 grand. I might want to do my extension.
You might also rent it. How about if someone had said, I want to rent it, I'd rent that cab off you, and you let them go and think, well, I'll get another one in 3 months. I'll buy another one. I might take one for 3 months, and I might have two cabs, mightn't I?
Yeah.
And I could then find someone else, and I could end up same as him by renting cabs out.
That's
I
what
might go
happened to
backwards
me.
and forwards.
Yeah.
Taking
That's
a cab.
that's how it happened.
Is that how it happens?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but renting cabs now, for me, from my business perspective, is a much more viable business than previously, because if you was a private concern and you got yourself, as I've got loads of friends did, get themselves small fleets, they were not garages.
That's right.
And that link with the garage was the thing that took most of their profits or gave them the aggravation. And
absolutely.
so they had to be lucky with the cabs, or they had to be mechanically minded themselves to fix things. But I had friends that was always putting them in the garages. They've got to pay the bills for those things. And, you know, the old TXs, loads of things would go wrong, but small things.
And the Vito would be a lot more even. There's a lot more to go wrong on the Vito. And that's what stung me in the early days. Yeah. You know, so, yeah. But now it's different because you got these warranties that look after the cabs. So,
well, you mentioned
the
a Vito.
hire.
When you mention a Vito, it basically brings up the other idea that people are moaning about, which is that we don't have a great selection. And the thing I've realised about the selection of not having much choice of different cabs is what you want is a selection of cabs to reduce the price, but you're still going to buy the TXE.
Yeah.
So you want competitors to the TXE so that the TXE is cheaper so that you buy the TXE. It's not going to happen. And really, we should be a one product market. I mean, even the fact of all these other cabs coming in, none of them ever, over the years, I've been 30 years watching other cabs come in, no one's ever managed to take any real market share. The Metro cab was probably the worst vehicle you could ever
Got
drive.
to confess, I loved that cab.
But isn't
Really?
it good to have competition as well?
I love that cab.
It's good to have competition, but you're not going to buy the competition unless the competition is like the TXE. It's got to be able to have some of the reasonable look of the TXE.
Yeah.
As soon as you make it a Vito, it's just a van, and you've got these are all just motor manufacturing companies making another vehicle. The TXE is still going along the lines of the old fairways.
I think a lot of these cabs that have come into London and not been the shape is more of a vanity project to say, look, I can make a London taxi, and then so they could sell more vehicles worldwide. That's what my opinion is of them, like the Vito and the Nissan Dynamo. They want to go into other markets. Say, look, we've done a London taxi, the best taxi in the world.
Yep.
So they can sell it in other cities. That's what I think.
But it is the best taxi.
Yeah.
I have driven the Vito. The Nissan, did it survive? Is it finished, the Nissan?
They've stopped making it or something.
It's gone.
I mean, it was dreadful. It was dreadful.
When I
to
say
look at.
gone, I don't know how gone it is, but it's gone at the moment.
Can you imagine being one of the guys that have actually bought it and are running around in it at the moment? I mean,
I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. I don't want to hurt their feelings.
no, but how much considerably cheaper was it to make it worthwhile?
What was the cost of one?
50 something?
Not that much cheaper.
No. And the rent, I mean, if you go and rent one, they're still the same price as a TXE. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the way the garages that have got them sell them to a renter is that you're fully electric, so you haven't got to put any fuel in them, which makes sense. I must say that. So if you live in town, like say if you lived in Camden or even Stepney, whatever, you could do your whole shift in one of them.
What's the
without
range?
having to about 130 miles average, which you can do a good shift on 130 miles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 100 miles a day
But
used to be a
if you're
shift in
commuting,
town.
yeah, but if you're commuting in, that takes away 60 of that, doesn't it? If you're commuting in from say
Cambridge,
or wherever really, if Harlow even, I think Harlow would be too far for one of them.
Yeah.
And we've always said that as we've gone along, with if you're going to have an all electric cab, what do you reckon, Liam? 200 it's got to be.
Yeah.
To get you out of trouble,
Yeah.
I mean, I done yesterday. I had a little bit of luck with a couple of jobs. I done 140 miles yesterday.
Yeah.
And I didn't do long hours.
You can't do that. You
I've
wouldn't be
done
able to do
8
that in a
hours.
Dynamo.
No.
In my opinion, I don't think so. And it's the shape as well. It's a lot smaller. Doesn't look like a London cab.
No, it's a dreadful looking thing.
No.
Yeah, sorry to say it. Yeah, but it does.
No, it doesn't do it for me either. No.
No.
It's a van, isn't it? That's what it is. And
So what's the base price then of the TXE at the moment?
You're looking at 60,000
60,000.
before you pay any interest. So yeah, some will tell you that they're paying 70 grand, won't they? Or some will tell you they're paying 80 grand.
Well, if you count that you're paying the interest, which if you do it through them, I think it's 14,000 in interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you stick that, you got 74, and you don't, and then you got the grant. So what's it, 7.5? Is that still going, the grant?
Yeah, the grant's still going, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 7.5. Put that 7.5 with the 14, that's 21.
Sorry, I don't understand that. I've missed the grant bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's a 7.5 grant.
The list price is about 67,500, and then you get a government grant.
OLES.
Yeah.
OLES grant.
So you get 7.5 grand off.
Don't
So
ask
you
me what
actually-
OLES means, but yeah.
You don't get
So-
it.
No, but you just pay 60 grand for the cab.
Right.
They claim it. The dealer will claim it off the
Dealer.
government.
That's right.
7.5 grand.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's still in place.
that's still there. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
when I got it,
Yeah.
So the price is, we have to take that into consideration. The price is cheaper than you're saying. It's going to bring it down to 60 grand, you think?
Yes.
I mean, you know the arguments. I mean, a lot of people think the cab is too expensive. I know they're going to give me a barrage of abuse for saying I don't think it is. And I don't think it is because I consider every other industry where you're self-employed, even if you were a plumber, you're going to need to buy a van that you use for the plumbing and your tools and your whatever. That comes to a certain amount of money. For us to spend the money we spend, which is, let's say, £60,000, not including what the interest might accumulate to, that's a reasonable price for any business. And that's a £60,000 over 5 years for a business. When we was doing our previous school, we was paying 70 grand a year just for rents and rates. So when you're self-employed, as you know, I find it very strange that we moan about
that is honestly on the button, in my opinion as well. I believe that's right. But one thing I will say to all people that go out to buy a brand new cab is be careful, because you're paying VAT on that cab. You can't claim it back. Yeah.
Yeah, but you pay VAT on a brand new car. You can't claim that back. Buy one for the wife.
Well, you can, yeah, but
You pay stamp duty on a house. I mean, if you was to have that attitude, you wouldn't buy anything.
your house is not. No, but your house is not your business, and your car's not your
Yeah,
business.
but I mean, it doesn't.
So it does because
Doesn't. It really doesn't. If you're going to buy something, buy it. Stop whinging.
No. But what I'm saying to you is, a fleet can claim that VAT back. So it's more suitable for fleets to buy brand new cabs than for mushers to buy brand new cabs. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a brand new cab.
How does that benefit your drivers? The VAT you claim back, how does that benefit the drivers if it doesn't benefit me?
So it benefits it doesn't benefit the drivers as such because I pay the VAT on their rental.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're paying me £350 a week, I'm paying that VAT. I'm paying the VAT. So I'm not making any money until I paid their VAT. But I claim the VAT back on the price of the taxi. Yeah. You can't do that.
Oh.
But if you buy it used, you don't have to pay the VAT because someone else has already paid it for you. That's why I'm saying to you, if you're going to buy a cab as a musher, it's better to buy a used cab. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you said this argument yesterday when we had a little debate in the corridor there.
Yeah.
I kind of like...
it's not a revelation. It's like... It's
the VAT's already been consumed.
It's been consumed.
The idea.
Yeah. So in the first 2 years, you're paying interest on the VAT. So you're paying...
I'm not paying
payments
it,
on the
but I
VAT,
didn't pay any interest. I paid cash.
which not everyone can do, Dave.
I know. That's what I said. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
I actually paid cash from my bank.
For you in your
my
position,
own money.
for you in your position, you're not really that bothered by that.
No.
But someone else...
That's why I'm not bothered about
that's
day off.
coming in, yeah. No, but someone else is coming into this... Who's
right.
who's going to borrow the whole lot.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense for them to buy a brand new cab. It makes more sense for them to go used because they're getting the same thing with the same warranty. That's going to cost
like a
them
year old.
300, maybe
A
a
year
bit
old.
more.
No VAT, you mean? And
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an ex-demo or something like that. They've not paid that extra £300 a month. That's a big lump for a cab driver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my thinking around that.
So Dave, you had a good interjection there about the fact of how you bought, which was really interesting.
Well, I was lucky enough to have the money, which is not everyone's got that, but obviously I did. And I'll quickly will say, if you want to put it in, my mother left me the money, and she left me in the will.
I remember you saying me that,
for that particular purpose,
right?
So that I never have to think about. Anyway, so that's another story. But I went in and just haggled the life out of them, really. And even when they said there was no more, they brought managers in and said that was the lowest they could ever do it.
But what was the starting price?
It was they're like 71, and then 70 grand. And they take $7.5 grand off. I think it was 64, then 61, then 59 and 58 and a half. And I still said, no.
You've got a good auctioning voice, you know.
And anyway, and it was sold to that man at the back. And I still said no because I thought 1,500 quid. I can get 1,500 quid out of this guy. So I went. Do you know what? I'm going to walk. And he went, I can't believe you're going to walk. Like he said, that's like,
no one's ever got it.
Welcome to my world. I have to do this every month.
I'm going to walk. And I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I can't get it any lower. And the guy that can give it, he's on holiday in Portugal at the time. And he said, he's in Portugal. I said, well, you best ring him. I said, well, I'll tell you, I'm going to go to the pub and get a pint of Guinness. And I took a picture of the pint of Guinness and emailed it to him and said, I will be finishing at 4 o'clock. Anyway, by 4 o'clock, he'd rung the guy in Portugal and he took 57. So he took another 1,500 quid off it.
So it's a lot of leeway then. And certainly if they're taking cash, I mean, they do generally earn their money on that.
He did say to me, which was a really strange thing to say.
Say
to me, he said, if you take out some of the finance with us, I can give you money back. I said, well, you're only going to give me my own money back. Why on earth would I do that? Yeah, mate, because it's the interest that you're going to earn. He went, well, yeah, but if we could just do 20 grand, I could give you. Look, I don't want my own money back. I've already got it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you're in a very strong position, Dave. That's
yes,
the thing. You're in the strongest position of any new cab driver can be in. You've got the cash there, you can go with it. And there's a very limited market, that is. There's not many people
course,
that do that.
They want the HP, though, don't they?
They want it.
Yes.
They earn commission from it, so the dealer earns commission from it, I believe.
Yeah, so they can actually probably have the
lender earns the interest,
refuse your money because they don't want that. They want you to be on HP. So
they'll never refuse it because it's a simple deal. It's not a complicated deal.
Another thing, I would if I was in that position and I was going to take some finance, I would ask to speak to the financial people. Say for instance, it's Black Hawks, for instance. I didn't which Whitley. I would ask to say, and I would say to them, put me on the phone to them because I would ask that to be lowered. If it's 7.3, I want 6.5, or whatever it is you want, because you see that move. And during COVID, it went down.
Correct.
And don't be afraid to say to them, let me speak to them. They want to close the deal too. Don't accept what it is.
Yeah, of course.
And say, and when you get to speak to the guy, say, look, that's 7.3, 7.9. I'm only going to give you 6.5. Take it or don't. Oh, and walk out and go to someone else.
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
No, don't be afraid to walk away.
I think the question here isn't about what's better, renting or buying. It's renting, buying, or owning, maybe. So if you're owning, like you own yours, then that is obviously the far better way to go. But the majority of people, if they're buying, they need to get that finance.
Yeah.
Because no one's got 60 grand in their pocket.
Yeah. That's excellent. You do have, it is a freeway thing. It is renting, buying or owning. And owning is the thing you're trying to aim for. And it's the thing I'm always talking about is the fact that I don't, nothing to pay out anymore. I go to work when I want. The cab's on the drive and is there for me to use, and I don't have to get anything. That's the position we all would like to be in. But
And I think with the like a TX4, for instance, you could buy that years ago. You sort of unlimited age on it. Now it's 15 or 12 years or whatever. But you knew that if anything went wrong with it, you could take it to a multitude of garages, look under railway arches, and get it fixed.
Yeah. Cheap.
That's different with the TXE. So it's a different ball game now.
Yeah. The other thing is, do you want, if you've got, so for me, if I had 60 grand in the bank, I wouldn't want to buy a vehicle with it. That cash, I wouldn't want to use that for a vehicle.
Well, it's
I
not a
want to
vehicle,
invest it
Paul.
somewhere.
It is a business.
It is a business. It is a business. But if there's an opportunity to borrow the money, I would rather borrow the money. I know I've got to pay a bit of interest on it, but I'd rather take less per week. That's more from a business point perspective, because that 60,000 could be put down on a property or whatever. That's an uprising.
If you use the money you've got and then get a personal loan, say for 30, 25. I think 25 is roughly the limit. You'll get to 2.8.
Yeah.
Then take out a personal loan for that. So you're not paying that 7.9.
You've managed to get around it. You've paid that one place. And took it from
use
another.
your money to get that cab and get the cheaper rate loan. And then put it down as a deposit.
Yeah, that's another option, of course.
That's really quite good.
Yeah, there's loads of ways to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what I feel like cab drivers should have took more advantage of was the scrappage scheme. A lot of guys just kept hold of their cabs.
The fleets took advantage of that, didn't they?
Yeah, but you could only do so many. You couldn't do unlimited amounts.
Well, if they did 10, they got 100 grand, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah.
How many could they do?
I'm not sure what the maximum was. I don't think it was any more than 10, to be honest. I think it might have been 15 or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But a lot of drivers could have got 10 grand. Plus, they could have sold their cab up north on top of that. So that's
You could get a scrappage and sell it.
Yeah, but you can't sell it with a plate on. Obviously, when you scrap it, you only scrap it.
You're only scrapping the plate. You're not scrapping.
You give the plates to TfL. Then you can sell your cab up north for 5 grand.
What
So that's 15.
That sounds like
So you've got
scam, doesn't it?
so you've got 15 grand deposit on that cab. That brings it down to the price of the old TX4. That was the idea. In my mind, that was the idea, and that's why I thought that the cab price wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Again, there's going to be people that are going to go, "What? You think it's reasonable?" I agree with Dean. I think that price is not the worst for what you get.
Yeah. But what happens when we lose that grant? I mean, other people say that we lose that grant. How long is that grant going to be?
I asked that question, and I was told that in time that will be, how do I put it? The value of the cab will be as such amount that they won't need the grant.
Yeah.
So the cab will fall in price anyway.
Possibly, but it's difficult. I mean, I don't know whether that answer was blinded. I don't know.
Is there
That was just an
a
opinion.
new version with a longer range coming out? Any whisper?
Couldn't possibly say. Look, I mean, it's got to come at some point.
Yeah, of course. We're all waiting for it.
It's changing every time.
I had a guy in the back of my cab.
Oh, I've got one of those stories.
Go on. No, you go first.
I had a guy in the back of the cab who was an engineer working. He told me he's working on the next generation of the TXE, but it's all to do with solid state batteries.
Yes.
And he reckons they're about, this was a year ago. He said that was 5 years away from solid state batteries in the taxi.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that could be how far away we are.
Did he say where they were doing it?
He told me he'd been working up in Coventry.
Right. So I was told something similar, but they said that they were doing it at one of the Lotus factories. Because you know that Geely own Lotus. Yeah, they own Lotus. So that they were doing it there to keep it away from people's eyes about in the cab trade. But these are all back of the cab rumours, yeah?
Yes, but
That's all
also-
we've got at the moment, isn't it?
Well,
Also-
I had another fella in the back of the cab. In fact, I had two fellas in the back of the cab at different times that both told me that electric isn't the future anyway. It's hydrogen, and that's
Hydrogen
about
is-
10 years
yeah,
away.
the
And
emissions will be pure water.
yeah, because when they can create hydrogen from green energy, so solar and wind or whatever, then it'll be a completely green.
The thing with these arguments, as they always were with the TX1, the TX2 came out, the TX4 came out, is that you can keep waiting for the rest of your life for the perfect cab to come out.
Yeah.
Is that why you've still got that little iPhone?
That's an
right.
iPhone SE.
There you go.
It's not. It's actually quite an expensive model. Well,
Yeah,
not expensive.
righto.
No,
So it's the TXE.
I love that
In
phone.
its day, it
But
was. Yeah.
I compare it to the little BMW i3.
Yeah.
So that was originally a range extended vehicle, same technology as the TXE. If you look at all the reviews of that vehicle, everyone still wants them ones. They'd rather have them ones because you've got no range anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And they're more reliable than the fully electric ones. So people, the price holds on them more than the fully electric version that only does 150 miles. So it really does 100 miles, whatever. So people go for them. So I feel like that's what's going to happen with the TXE. People are going to want the range extended ones still because there's no range anxiety. You can go forever on them.
Yeah, I think having the range extender on it is such a bonus, but it'd just be nice if you could get more out of the battery as well.
Yeah, you want a bit of both, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a job a few years ago up to Manchester, just off a rank.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't have done that with pure electric.
No.
So,
Funny enough, I had a job to Manchester as well.
Did you?
Yeah. It was there and back with a full battery, and I didn't have to stop and fill up.
No.
Oh no, sorry, I filled up at Manchester to come back, but I didn't have to stop either way.
I charged my battery up there
Right.
just because it was a wait and return. So I just
Right.
charged it while I was
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah.
But yeah,
And that charge made you back.
no, it didn't make me back. But I think altogether, fuel and the cost of charging the battery twice, it was something like £60-something.
Yeah. I
So
paid
that-
about £70 all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my battery got me because I got the job from Heathrow. My battery got me from Heathrow to Oxford.
So
So
tell people what the fare came to then.
Should I do that?
Yeah,
Isn't this the
because
first rule of
there's
Cab
a-
Club? You
there's a
don't talk
60
about
yeah,
money.
There's a £60, £70 cost of actually going there and back. There's also the
I
hours
had free drops.
involved in
I had free drops around sale.
Yeah.
Like that makes a big difference.
It does. It probably adds. What was yours?
Can you
I
believe
did.
this?
Mine was a price.
He had four.
I done
Oh, did
a
you? Price? Mine was
Yeah.
on the meter. Mine was on the meter from
Well, I
Heathrow.
would have done a price. I mean, what are you going to guess on a price to Manchester? What did you do? Did you do?
Have a guess.
Well, I'd have to look up the mileage to Manchester, which I forgot.
I'll tell you what the job was. It was picking up from Horse Guards Hotel,
Yeah.
taking up to Old Trafford for some cricket fans to
Okay.
watch India against West Indies, wait for them and bring them back.
Oh,
So,
job and return as well. So the whole job.
yeah, so I
Oh,
was
job and
there.
return is a
so I
different
was
story.
there all day.
Yeah.
Lucky enough, I've got a friend that lives in Manchester, so I just went
Yes.
round his and watched the cricket at his house. But so I'd done a price. I could have got more for what I
I'd have started about 500.
Yeah, I was going to say a monkey. Yeah,
right, but I'd done 6,
that's not bad. It's not bad.
and they bit my hand off.
Yeah, they would
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I mean, what would that be on the meter?
I'll tell you what I did. The guy got displaced, so he was supposed to land at Manchester, and he got displaced to Heathrow, and he just said, "My airline are paying for this, so you can run your meter."
Yeah.
So I run the meter, and it comes 786
One way?
one way.
One way?
786. It was rate free.
Free
Yeah.
drops.
Yeah, free drops.
Free drops. Yeah. Yeah, he is running around.
I want a WhatsApp group. They're gonna, if they see this, they're gonna laugh because I always mention my Manchester. Like, it's,
Do you mention
when
the
when we
free
talk about
drops, though?
roaders, the
Yeah,
Manchester always comes up. But yeah, it was free drops because it was 2 families, and they
Yep.
just about got all their stuff in, and it was just when the cab come out, so they were really excited.
What was
to
the
get in
miles on it?
Oh, I don't know. It was about 250. Is it?
Yeah, I can't remember now. To be honest.
Yeah. So you're looking
It
at
was
about,
rate free. It was 6 o'clock at night as well, so
So
it was a
you're
real
looking at
struggle to get
£3.50
there
a
and
mile.
back without falling asleep. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a real
That's
struggle.
the problem with that sort
Yeah,
of job.
yeah. But yeah, 786 it came to.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
Lovely darts.
that's my record. Yeah, good darts that was.
Well, was that the story that you was going to tell or not?
No, the story I was going to tell about a renter that was going to buy a cab, and he got all the paperwork, and he said, "Paul, I'm leaving. I'm buying a cab." I'm like, "Fair enough, he's got to do what you got to do." But he was stressed about it. He was so 50-50, but the wife was saying, we should buy a cab. You got to invest in it. And I was like, yeah, she's right. And he was going to do it with no deposit. He was about to sign the paperwork, and he bottled out. And he was saying to me, "What's the highs and the lows? What's the good and the bad parts?" And I said, "There's not much in it weekly, but if you was to have a prang, your insurance now is going to be $2,500 a year, roughly between $2,000 and $2,500 a year. If you was to have a bad prang, and it was your fault, then that might go to $3,500, $4,000. Then you'll be up renting per week. That's how it would go. That's the only thing that I can see." That, and obviously the service that we provide, the spare cabs, etc., etc.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I get it. I'm going to stay. I've decided to stay. Right? That's to cut a long story short. 2 days later, what do you think happened?
You rented one of yours and pranged it?
Yeah, the prang.
Proper prank.
Right off.
Yeah, and they didn't write it off, but it was. I had to pay out. It was a big one.
Yeah,
Right?
you should have shut up.
Yeah, I should have let him. I should have let him buy the cab. I should have gone buy the cab.
You should have drove in there.
But from his point of view, he didn't have to pay any money out. He paid his excess, which was nowhere near what he had to pay if it was. The accident was bad. He had an argument with a lorry, basically. Yeah.
You're not
The
gonna
lorry
win.
won.
Yeah, you're
Lorry
not
won,
gonna
and there
win,
was no damage to the lorry at all, luckily.
No.
Because it was the end of the trailer that caught him. He went a bit wide and it
I
caught
was
him.
a HGV driver for 34 years, so
Yeah.
I know what
You
damage they can
know
do,
who won.
Before there was ever cameras and that, when it was cab drivers who used to try and cut us up, we used to call it one off the cush, and we would just give them the wheel nuts down the side.
I got done by you
Yeah,
guys.
we was on the A13. We was always doing it.
But that is the differentiate. That's the difference between, because on these cabs, parts are expensive, like panels and spray jobs and stuff like that are expensive.
What you
What's the hourly
loads
rate?
more.
What's the hourly rate they would charge now on a repair like that?
About £90. Yeah, around about £90. Yeah.
For the
So as
repair.
long as you're a good
yeah.
driver, you're
So-
all right.
Yeah.
But you never know, do you?
No,
No,
when
it's
you're a
easy to
professional
make
risk.
driver,
It's
every
risk.
Make a
professional
mistake.
driver, you've got so many hours on the road, you're
Yeah.
going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Year in, year out, you're going to
You'll
make a
make a
mistake.
mistake.
It is better to make a mistake in someone else's motor. That side of it is, That's why a lot of the old boys always say, go and rent for a year. Go and rent for a year.
Yeah.
And that's where we come in.
Yeah.
I don't expect anyone to stay with me for longer than a year, to be honest. I like it when they do, because you build up good relationships, like with Liam and stuff. But I don't expect anyone to, I know other fleets that will say, oh, they're all going to buy a cab, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, but you're only renting. It's a temporary thing, like yourself.
You learn. You learn
cut
from
your
them.
teeth on one of mine, and you went and bought one of your own.
And you learn from you
how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll tell you a bit about the trade and a bit about what's going on out there. That will come.
And just because you go, it doesn't make you a competition, and it makes you friends and stronger because you'll come back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you might recommend me to someone else, which you did.
Yes.
Tone.
Yes.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah, I don't think he'll ever buy a cab.
No.
No, Tony won't.
Tony won't. No.
Well, I don't think he ever can. No, can't. He can't buy a cab, Tony.
No?
I'm pretty sure that he's got enough financial
But
chasers.
See, Tony's a perfect example of what you're saying about backup.
Tony's
Yes.
fantastic.
Doing those things that you do for him.
Yeah.
Although I'd say it's not a lot.
For Tony,
do you think Tony
it's
would
very
do? Do you think
important.
he would MOT every 6 months?
Oh, no. Tony, it suits him down to the ground, I think.
Yeah,
Renting.
you keep an eye on him, really.
Yeah.
But you hit the nail on the head with the fact that this guy, he was obviously too stressed to buy it. Wouldn't have done him. And there's a roulette to
It
buying
took
a
him
cab.
out of his comfort zone.
Yes.
And he didn't really want to do it, and he decided against it, and he was so happy that he did. And I don't think he'll ever buy a cab now.
I was going to say, I think that's it. The figures are too close. What you're paying on renting and what you're paying if you have to get the finance is too close. There's not enough in it to make it worthwhile at the moment.
Yeah.
If at the end of that 5 years you paid it off and it's yours and you keep it and you haven't got any money to pay and that cab is good and nothing goes wrong, you're all right. But with the figures being so close and the worry about what could happen in the future, I think that is what
So
renting is.
there is the route. It's a minor game of roulette. Certainly, I would say buy straight away, but you're instantly playing the roulette of you're not a professional driver, or most people who are not, they're coming into it. You've now got to do a year of professional driving without having an accident.
Yeah.
And so you're playing a roulette on that one not happening. And then when you get to your 5 years, you're definitely going to need your £1,900 warranty for the extra 3 years.
Or trade up.
Or trade up. Yeah, depending on how much you're going to get back for the cab.
If it's the same prices like now, which they're holding, it might be worth trade up. Would you get the grant twice? Someone like me, if I was to go and buy again in 5 years, would I get the grant? Am I not eligible because I've had it once?
No, I think it goes on the vehicle. Doesn't go on the person. It's different with the Charger, but that's ended now, by the way.
That's it. I've got one.
I've got one
before.
you
that.
cannot
I've
get
got
a
the home
grant
charger.
on the home charger anymore.
That's a must, that home charger. Do you have a home charger?
Yeah, I've got a home charger.
It makes such a difference every day to come out charged, doesn't it?
Well, how did you get that on a rental?
Paul sorted it out.
You just have to supply a registration, really.
It's just a bit of documents, a few documents.
What,
but
that
renting
was
or buying,
free,
as
or-
long as the vehicle's registered to you, it's like it's a company car.
Yeah.
It's roughly £1,000, right? And you get £350 off, don't you? So you get 900, £350 off. So you pay about a monkey or something like that. 500
Yeah.
So, but you rented. So did he pay all of that, or did you pay something towards it?
No, you
Paid all that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I chucked it in at the time.
Did you?
Yeah.
You do that
That's
now?
Special deal.
He really
You
wanted
better cut that out because they're all going to be coming after. Look, I want to home charge.
When they first come out, we done a really good deal for new guys because at the time it was hard to get people to convert from diesel to electric. So we were doing a deal where we chucked in a charger. So quite a lot of guys have got free chargers out of me.
I think I
And
got
then
four
stop
for
renting.
50.
Yeah, but that was never conditional because we had a really good deal with an installer.
Yeah.
That was doing them for at the time I think £200.
Wow, that's cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
Did you have the
saying-
Rolex? Did you have the Rolex?
No, Charge Master.
Oh, you had Chargemaster. Yeah.
You were saying before, after the 5 years, you've got that money in your cab to maybe trade up.
Yeah.
What we were saying earlier about the next generation, if that next generation comes out, this first generation cab may not be worth a lot of money.
No,
People
yeah,
might
that
not
could
want
change.
them.
Yeah,
and that's
that could change.
another risk.
That's
to
a
get
gamble.
thinking about.
It could change. But would the next generation and the generation after it, would they have the range extender or will they be just battery? And will they have the anxiety and say, I'd rather have the old one? 'cause
Yeah,
I
that's
can
what I was
still
saying
put
about the
fuel in.
BMW i3.
So that'd be worth keeping that one.
That
Yeah.
happened with the TX1,
You know?
TX2s, and the TX4s. Everybody was saying the very first, the Mitsubishi engine, if it's got that before, or the what's the engine? The Nissan diesel.
It could be what you're saying. It could be that it goes dropping. It could be that people go, I'd rather have the older one with the engine.
But that's the gamble. This is
That is the gamble.
Yes, it's all like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems when you're renting, you're reducing the stress and the gamble.
Yeah, I've got no worries.
Yeah. But financially, if the gamble pays off, you should end up financially better with buying.
I've no problem in keeping my one though, either.
Let me tell you about the
Yeah, no
pandemic.
problem. Look, I mean, as long as it keeps going.
Let me tell you about the pandemic. So you came in the pandemic to me, and you were renting. So you had no stress
No.
at all because you could just give that back to me. And same with Liam, and same with other people. I had all the stress. Guys that owned their cabs, they were very stressed during the pandemic because they had to meet them payments. So if that was to happen again, I don't know. We don't know. No one knows.
yeah.
I hope not. I hope not. But that's another worry that
That was
renters
a
have.
destroyer, I imagine.
That was very stressful. I mean, I don't want to go into that's another podcast, but and that could be a good podcast.
Well,
by
yeah,
the way, how people survive that. But as a renter, you just hand your cab back.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Don't need them tools anymore. I'm going to go and do a bit of paint and decorating, go work for Tesco, whatever you got to do, you go and do it, don't you?
Yeah, it'd be pointless sitting there looking at it out the window, wouldn't it?
But if you own it, you don't got no choice.
But didn't you buy
Guys
yours
got
just
them-
before the pandemic or during it?
No, during it, during
Yeah,
it.
you must have got a good deal at the time because of that.
Yeah.
That
During it.
because they weren't selling cabs at the time.
That might have been why you
That
got
They
it.
was
just
why you
started.
got it.
They just started again to do it. Like
dropped the price.
as was last summer.
Yeah, they dropped
last
the price
summer.
during the pandemic.
Stan got in March and got his one, and it came to it. But you could see it was going to come back. It might spit and start and whatever else, but we have to return to some sort.
Oh,
of
no,
normality. We have to.
we're okay.
We can't all sit indoors.
No.
Yeah, of course.
and something could come along again. Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to all sit indoors for weeks on end.
Yeah.
Bit
So,
like-
so in conclusion, really, like this rent or buy situation, we haven't changed your mind one iota, Liam. You are definitely think renting is the way to go.
If someone was to come along and say, here's 60 grand to buy a cab with, then thank you very much. So, yeah, of course I'd do
Oh,
that.
you'd buy it if you had the money to buy it with. Okay.
If I just had 60 grand drop on me, yeah.
Yes.
But my situation, no.
So it goes back to that perfect thing you said earlier. There are three options. If you're an owner, there is a benefit to having this. But if you're
Tax as well, tax
Yeah.
benefits as well.
And one thing I will say is the interest rates on buying it are too high.
Yeah.
From what I understand, certainly a couple of years back in Scotland, the government there was offering it on 0% finance.
Still doing it.
Still do.
Yeah.
So if the GLA, the Mayor of London, is really wants everyone to go green, why don't he offer it? Why don't he put pressure on the government to put that money up?
That's very true.
you know?
Excellent point.
Yes, good.
Excellent point.
It would make a big difference. A big difference.
And then I might buy it. Sorry, Paul. But
That's all right, mate. No, I'll buy more.
There's always going to be renters.
Everyone's circumstances.
Yes, everyone is different.
Yeah.
I've always been in favour of not renting and not having the forcefulness to work. I didn't become a taxi driver so that I worked 5 days a week regularly and did that. It was to get some form of freedom.
Yeah.
So someone's asked me today what cab drivers earn again. average. And it is some average cab driver is probably £700-800 a week because you earn what you need. You don't go out and have to earn. We don't have to earn £2,000 a week. It's about having some form of life. So it's really, if you want to know what a cab driver earns, it's what do you earn on average per hour, and then your hours are up to you. Then, isn't it?
What do you want to earn?
And what do you want to earn? Yeah.
And what do you need to earn?
Yeah, it's like a sales job. If you want to earn more, you work harder.
Yeah.
You know, your target's higher.
Yeah.
You know, when I've been in the sales industry, I've worked really hard because I want to meet my targets. It's the same when you're out in a cab, you just drive for longer.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of them.
Well, that is the beauty and why we all did it. Is having that freedom to increase or decrease our wages. For me, it was more to increase the time I have to spend relaxing. Really,
total freedom. Total freedom. You know, any day you wish to have off, any time you wish to, and if you need to make that money up, you can because you can pick and choose a different shift later in the week and get some money back.
One of my drivers, he works till he gets his money. So he got a target for the month. If he gets it in 2 weeks, he has the other 2 weeks off.
Right.
I like that.
I used to work targets, but you changed, don't you? We've all done every single thing. I used to work targets, then I used to work hours, and you just go through loads of little systems to find
scenarios.
Yeah, and in the end, I didn't do anything. I just went out and came home. What was worried about? I'm going home now.
Certain days you've had enough, and you go, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
I think the main thing is if you get something that's pointing in your direction.
You're home. Yeah.
That's the one for me. Yeah. That's the one that makes me go.
But when you first start, I had a fare once from Oxford Street to somewhere in Whitechapel, and it was really the end of the shift.
Yeah.
And the next fare jumped in and wanted Twickenham, and I knew that I'm already going to sleep.
The pain in that.
Yeah, but I done it, and I ended up having to fall asleep at Twickenham, and I was only at home, but with a Whitechapel, it's like, oh dear. But you're just so greedy in the beginning.
You can tell the pain because he still remembers the story.
I still remember it. No, but it was right to Twickenham Rugby Club, and I had to get in the back of the cab and sleep.
You switch the light off now and go home.
I say sorry.
I could never imagine. I don't know how these guys sleep in their cabs at the airport. I just don't get it. I just don't know how they do it.
Different breed.
Got a bad back.
That's savage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know a guy who goes out there on a Sunday night and sleeps there till Thursday and I just think,
well, it depends how much money you need, doesn't it? I mean, if you're coming from a place that's worn-torn and you're here with a job, you would have give as much as that.
Warrington, he's from Essex.
Warrington.
Romford, yeah.
Well, I've done it in the HGV as an artist. I was going to call it tramping, sleeping away all week, and you have plenty of facilities, but that's so boring.
Yeah, no, sleeping in your truck is lovely. I used to go with my dad all the time. It was great.
In the summer, it's hot and daylight, and it's hard to sleep in the cab.
Yeah.
And in the winter, it was freezing. You got night heaters on.
When they first
if
came
got
out,
no 3G or 5G in the area where you park, no toilets, no.
There's guys that got hammocks in the back of their cab.
Shut
they
up.
Sleep in hammocks. Yeah. When they first come out, a guy wanted to rent one off me at the airport, and he wanted to live in it, and I refused that contract, and someone else took it. I'm not going to mention the fleet.
Yep.
But he put the hook and eyes in one corner, one in the other. Hung his hammock.
What, in the trailer?
No, in the back of the TXE.
Oh, in the cab, yeah.
Yeah, back of the TXE.
How did they fix the hook and eyes?
So he got the hook and eye. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He even sent me a picture of it. Yeah. And you know it's got a glass roof. You know what happened, don't you?
It cracked.
Cracked the whole roof. Yeah, cracked the whole roof.
What, the weight pulling and twisting?
Yeah. Pulling and twisting, crack.
How much is that?
I think it's about 1,200 quid. A bit more, maybe. Yeah.
I kind of imagined you'd have a rope that went all the way through and hooked itself up.
Something like that.
That would have brought it round. But then I don't imagine the length is there. Is it 6 foot across? Inside?
No, it's just...
He got in it.
I've never been able to lay across a cab.
The Vito's big enough for a hammock. There's nothing worse than when you're following a Vito driver and you see that sleeping bag hanging out the back.
Really? Have you seen it?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, in the back, yeah.
When you see that, you know their gear in there. You know their airport, and they're going to be sleeping in the back of their cabs.
Well, you know, different strokes, different folks. But
anyway,
I think we should just say what a great podcast, really.
Yeah, fantastic.
Lovely. Thank you, Liam, for coming and being a guest and putting your input and sticking up for the renters. I'd have to say my opinion's probably changed quite a bit. I actually now come towards... I can see more benefits of renting than I used to in the past. I was very adamant by attitude. And you raised some good points yesterday when we discussed and today in the thing. I'm still a buyer, I think. I'm still a buyer. And it is part of that idea of how stressed you're going to be by that sort of thing. But I think financially, you're going to be better off if things go to plan. and they should go to plan if you're obviously depending on your driving skills, Dave. I mean, some of these people.
It could happen to anyone.
Well, it happened to. We
it
shouldn't
can.
mention anybody's names. I had another
really
story
can.
about the crashing and stuff like that. But Tony, no one knows who Tony is, so we just keep him as Tony. Not that he crashed, but Tony is definitely a great renter. And
he's a great renter.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And David, thank you very much for coming along, Mr. Frampton. And
You're not coming back, are you, Dave?
When
One last point that he can cash out whenever he wants. He's got that equity in that cab. He can cash out if he needs that cash. He can cash out. All right, he's not going to get 60 back.
Yeah,
he'll get 45 back.
How about
and you've earned 15 easy.
Say, for instance, in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Right, I'm older. Cash it. I don't want to work all year.
Yeah.
I might come to you and say, I'm probably going to work 6 months a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the idea is, can you give you a cab for 3 or 6 months?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what
he'll only do that.
you come and ask the question, don't you? And it depends on the times and how
Absolutely,
busy
we
everything
do
is.
that.
He might turn around and say, yes, I can.
Absolutely
I say,
do that. I
can't.
rent to people for a week or 2 weeks. If a cab's there,
I
I'll
could
rent
come
it.
up and say, like, say, for instance, you'd work from midsummer, June till the end of the year, but I don't want to work, keep a season and around to
It's
summer.
not property. Properties you rent for 6 months minimum, don't you? It's not the same with cabs.
If you're in your 60s and comfortable, you might say, I only want to work 5 months a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, some people, they share cabs and all, don't they? Some people share
That's
cabs.
right, and a lot of my customers do are temporary. I've got a guy who's semi-retired who's coming on Friday. He's going to just work for a week and then he's going to go back to Cornwall.
And another thing as well, so,
I haven't got a cab for him, but
but I could say to you, I might be able to say, well, listen, I'm getting rid of that cab. But if you come a time where you've got cabs you're stuck with, basically, for a week, you say, ring up Dave, I'm stuck with this cab for this month. I might, my old age, might want to come in and do a month.
well, funny enough,
And you'd say, I've got someone for it, and that'd do me to hand it back to you, wouldn't it?
well, yeah, and funny
And
enough,
it'd suit both of you, really.
the first cab I ever bought to rent out was I bought it off the guy and rented it back to him because he wanted to cash out. He wanted to cash out.
Yeah.
So, and he wanted to rent. He said, well, there's no point me renting elsewhere. I might as well rent my cab. I was like, all right.
Yeah, but
That was
That's
very
how I
common.
started. That's how I started it.
I could see a time in the future where I wouldn't want to have one all year.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, there's
And,
loads, there's loads of variables, man.
And that's a good thing about it, having a trader. You could do all that. You could come back and say, listen, I only want 3 months. But it may not matter which 3 months. You may have a fixed salary or type that you want to earn.
January and February.
That's the beauty of this job,
Park it
though.
on the drive.
That's the beauty of this job, though, isn't it?
But it could be anything.
There's always money there to be earned if it's busy. There's always money there to be earned. So you can pick your own hours, and it's the same with blocks of time with renting or whatever. You know.
There's someone might say, well, I'm retired now, but it'd be nice to get an extra 10 grand a year. I can earn that in X amount of time.
A week, innit? 10 grand a week we take, isn't it, apparently?
But you could come back to Paul and just say,
Friday
like,
night,
well, it depends how hard you want to work. Just say you want to do it in 12 weeks, 3 months.
Yeah.
And you could comfortably, easily do it. You just come back and say, I'm going to take it.
I got an email today. Please tell me, Dean, truthfully, how much cab drivers earn, because I know that the Uber drivers are now earning 1,545-hour weeks. And I was thinking, Uber driver for £1,500 in a 45-hour week. I said, my answer is going to be basically, I think you should just become an Uber driver then if you're earning £1,500 in 45 hours a week, which is obviously...
People actually believe that as well.
Well, yeah, there's obviously some Uber driver that's sprouting that, but all the Uber drivers who are here, wow.
Doing the knowledge.
Well, they're not earning 1,500 a week. They're basically struggling like hard now.
There's a reason why they're doing the knowledge.
Yeah.
You may have found that the one Uber driver has earned 1 week. He has earned 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
He hasn't mentioned the other 51 weeks.
He hasn't earned, he hasn't mentioned the hourly rate either.
That's gone round to everyone. That's
Also,
what
he
they
hasn't
get every
mentioned
week.
the 30% he's got to pay Uber and the
And wear and
300
tear.
a week he's got to pay for his Prius.
And the 20% VAT that they've got to pay on the fare.
Yes, all that
And his
expense.
insurance have got to pay for the traffic lights near Bolton Street on Piccadilly.
Yeah.
And the island in Goldbourne Road. Was it Goldbourne Road? Yeah. The island.